All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take these timeless, ancient laws of power and strategy and adapt them for the modern battlefield of the financial markets. We'll distill all that wisdom into three core principles designed to give you a serious psychological edge.
So let's just kick things off with the big question. Can principles from centuries ago really truly give you an edge in today's high-speed, chaotic digital markets? The answer might actually surprise you. See, it's less about finding the perfect chart pattern and more about mastering human psychology, and that always starts with your own. We've boiled it all down to three powerful laws, creating a practical framework for market success. And this isn't just about your trading platform. It's about learning to navigate all the psychological noise, both the chatter on social media and, more importantly, the noise inside your own head. So let's start with the foundation. Our first pillar is what I call profitable silence. This is the bedrock for everything that follows, and it's all about controlling what you say and maybe even more critically, what you don't say. I mean, just think about it for a second. We live in an age of constant noise, right? Everyone's shouting their opinions online. But in the world of trading, being the loudest voice in the room, well, that can be a fatal flaw. The real power and the real profit is so often found in silence. And this comparison just lays it out so perfectly. Look at the loud trader. They publicly declare every move they make. What does that do? It immediately hooks their ego to the trade. Now they're not just trying to be profitable, they're trying to avoid looking wrong in public. Now contrast that with the silent trader. They keep their cards close to their chest. This allows for pure, objective analysis and gives them the freedom to cut a losing trade without an ounce of public shame. So here's the dangerous psychology behind it all. When you talk about a trade, you are essentially welding your ego to its outcome. And ego, well, ego hates admitting it's wrong. So instead of cutting a loss when your strategy tells you to, you hesitate. You hold on, hoping you can save face. Profitable silence completely severs that connection, letting you make clear, cold, unemotional decisions based on the market, not on your pride. All right, let's move on to our second pillar. This one is all about that critical moment of action. Because once you've made a decision in silence, you have to be able to act. This is where we learn to strike with boldness. So let me ask you a question that every single trader has felt deep in their gut. What is the biggest killer of gains in the market? Just take a second. It's not a bad strategy. It's not some surprise news event. No, it's something far more personal. Hesitation, that single split second of doubt that makes you second-guess your entire plan. It is a silent account killer, and it's driven entirely by fear. This is such a powerful truth. You have to think of the market as an arena that rewards conviction and absolutely punishes indecision. If your strategy gives you a crystal clear signal, but you feel that fear, that's a warning sign. The inability to act decisively is often so much worse than having a slightly flawed strategy. And this just perfectly illustrates that deadly chain reaction. Your plan gives you a clear entry point, but you freeze. By the time you finally work up the courage to click the button, the price has already moved against you. You end up getting in at a worse price, and in that one moment, you've completely destroyed the risk-to-reward ratio that made the trade a good idea in the first place. Bold, decisive action is how you protect your edge. And this brings us to our third and final pillar, the one that really ties everything together. The principle is simple, almost poetic: be like water. This is all about mastering the art of formlessness. So what exactly does formlessness mean for a trader? It's the ability to trade without a fixed bias. It means you aren't a permanent bull or a permanent bear. You are simply reacting to what the market is doing right now, not what your opinion says it should be doing. Now, this quote might seem a little strange at first. Aren't we supposed to have an analysis, a market opinion? Well, yes, but it has to be a flexible one. A dogmatic, unchangeable opinion, that becomes an ego-driven bias. And as we've already learned, ego is the sworn enemy of profit. This analogy just shows the concept perfectly. The trader with a rigid bias is like a fortress. They stand strong for a while, ignoring any and all data that conflicts with their view. But eventually, a market that moves against them will simply crush that fortress. The formless trader, though, they're like water. They adapt to new information, they follow the prevailing trend, and they just flow around obstacles, always finding the path to profitability. So how do you actually practice this? It's actually pretty simple. First, just be brutally honest with yourself and identify your bias. Are you leaning bullish or bearish right now? Second, and this is key, actively go look for information that contradicts your view. Don't live in an echo chamber.
And third, and most importantly, execute your trades based on the market's current observable trend, not your deeply held opinion.
So let's bring these three powerful pillars together: silence, boldness, and formlessness. They aren't just separate tactics. When you combine them, they forge something far greater: the master trader's mindset. And that is the ultimate takeaway here. Each of these laws isn't really about predicting the market. They are about controlling your own psychology, your ego, your fear, and your biases. Once you master yourself, the market becomes a much simpler puzzle to solve. So, to recap, what are the three pillars of mastery? 1. Profitable silence, so you can trade without ego. 2. Bold action, so you can execute without hesitation. And 3. Formless adaptation, so you can flow with the market, not against your own bias.
You have the framework now. The laws are yours. The market is out there, waiting. So the only question left to ask is, which one will you master first?